to push on, but great job and wonderful progress. Lauren, you're up. Another critical piece of career development is workforce development. So you got a big team and lots to do.
Great, thanks, Ray. I hope everyone can see my screen. Lauren Alexunas, lead of the Workforce Development Core. I am representing today our large core. As you can see here, we have individuals from Rutgers spanning different units, Anne, Barbara, Doreen, Barbara, and Yashika, as well as Rick. And we have our colleagues also at NJIT, Dan Tong, and at Princeton, Noreen, that provide for great oversight of our core activities. So we really view Workforce Development Core as kind of the foundation that serves to serve a number of different arms of NJAX, and really kind of looking at career development over the continuum and the career cycle. So who do we service? We service TL1 and KL2, as you've nicely heard in the prior presentations, but we also service the larger NJAX workforce, and this includes engagement with community partners, the trainees and scholars even outside of the TL1 and KL2, clinical teams, and I'll touch on that in a second, research infrastructure, and that's both within New Jersey and even our global arm that I'll be talking about, and researchers. Likewise, we've really in the second year grown our reach across national CTSA hubs as well through a number of collaborations. So when we looked at our original grant, you could see that we had developed this continuum of workforce training that spans very basic engagement. These are one-off seminars, workshops, small projects, to then more focused trainings that including experiential type that you heard Kathy talk about. These might be internships, externships, and fellowships. And then to the more formal training, including certificate programs, as well as master's degrees. And we've heard a little bit about the MSCTS, but also a second master's program in clinical research management, as well as the PharmD Industry Fellowship. So what I'd like to do today is highlight some of our accomplishments and where we are going as a core. And I've kind of organized this into 3 buckets, looking at our advances in infrastructure development, fundamental training opportunities, as well as some of our advanced training opportunities. Starting with infrastructure development, we've all been forced more into the virtual environment, but we see this again as a key strength over the past year. Barbara Tafuto has developed and launched our workforce website and has also partnered with a number of the other cores and training programs to also harmonize websites together. We've also been connecting across hubs. We participate also in the unmeetings through Click. Barb has also received a pilot grant developing a website called CTSA Search Solutions that will allow individuals to go to the website and simultaneously search all of the CTSA hubs for different opportunities, resources, and training offerings. We're also working to improve training access, and so we've really been trying to catalog the available offerings across the different hubs. And we'll see how that'll be kind of actionized in the next step. We've also been working with the informatics core to take some of their trainings as well as those offered by our core and to make a kind of an asynchronous module of informatics training similar to what you heard in the Bird core. We've also, with Global Health, launched a YouTube video page. We'll touch on that in a second. And also Rick Marlink and Barb Gladson have submitted a D43 grant on global cancer research. Now, one of the gaps that we've noticed across the hubs in workforce development is there are certainly plenty of training opportunities, and there are certainly plenty of lists of core competencies, but there's really been very little integration of these two. So you're deficient in one competency, so what? What do you do next? And that's where our TRAIT tool is going to come in to kind of fill this void. TRAIT stands for Training Assessment and Identification Tool. As you may have seen in the chat box, Barbara Tafuto, one of our co-leads, oversaw our development, our initial phases of kind of needs assessment and working with different audiences as part of the I-Core NSF program at Rutgers to do the first phase of TRAIT development. And again, the idea is that as a person self-assesses their competencies, identifies gaps, then they would be able to be directed to trainings that would fill those gaps. As part of the I-Core program, we conducted 30 interviews, including 24 of them related to other CTSAs. These include program directors as well as TL1 and KL2 directors across these various hubs. We've also worked with job seekers as well as pharma executives and high-end recruiters in determining what we need to do to kind of make trait fit across the needs of a number of these spectrums. As part of the development of this tool, we've been collaborating with Georgetown, UCSD, as well as Duke in kind of our next stages. And our last infrastructure development was one of these time-sensitive initiatives related to the launch of the COVID vaccine trials at our CRUs. Nancy Riley approached us with a need, obviously, to hire quickly, but also how do we ensure baseline competencies of new clinical staff that are helping her in executing these vaccine trials. And so working with Doreen Leschner and Yashika, our program manager, Yashika Ebanks, we have been able to secure 50 licenses from the ACRP, the Association of Clinical Research Professionals, to not only get access, but to prioritize modules that are needed to be completed by our clinical staff. These include CRCs, as well as other data entry folks, in order to make sure that they are ready to be able to assist in these vaccine trials. Likewise, we have developed a streamlined assessment that Yashika has developed based on the Joint Task Force competencies in order to assess this novel arm of our workforce within NJX. Moving on to our fundamental trainings. One of the types of trainings that we offer in the Workforce Development Core is centered on the National Research Mentoring Network, of which Ann Stock and I are both members. Ann has worked with Morale on some of the training and mentoring initiatives, and as well as Anita Sue and Andrew Gao in the School of Pharmacy on kind of what do we need to be able to offer for mentoring at the graduate student level and trainee level, as well as our faculty mentors. I, along with Susie Chen in the School of Pharmacy and previously Paul Copeland, run a NRMN grant writing group. We're both all trained as coaches through NRMN. We held a monthly review sessions looking at specific aims pages. This has been a highly successful group focused on early career individuals. So these are senior postdocs and junior faculty, often from underrepresented minority backgrounds, looking to kind of secure some of their translational or transitional funding. To date, we've already had RO1s funded. Another RO1 NOA is being prepared as we speak, a diversity supplement and other grants that are at their pay lines that we expect to be able to announce in the next few months. In this fall semester, we also host a F31, F32 writing group. So this is, again, the reach beyond the TL1, but to get to those other grad students and postdocs across a variety of T32s within Rutgers. But also we have grad students and postdocs from NJIT and Princeton also involved. And we have over 20 people right now preparing their applications either for this December or April timeframe. That's a weekly writing group. We also have been offering a number of kind of single or double sessions looking at machine learning. So Dan Tong Yu has provided 2 great outstanding sessions with over 60 participants looking at machine learning specifically with Python. We hosted remotely this fall. Just this week, we launched our REDCap training that had over 100 participants. We first started on our basic training, and in December, we will be focusing on our advanced training. This is being done in collaboration with Han Wu as our instructor out of NJMS. We are hosting a risk assessment bootcamp virtually in January with a number of our industry partners. And then we are also working on the training needs with the TL1 and KL2, as you've heard about the mini AAB meeting next month. Likewise, we are also doing outreach at the undergraduate level, particularly at Rutgers and Princeton thus far, hosting interactive sessions online for how students can gain additional skills, especially while they're unable to go to laboratories for research, and also how they can be competitive for the next stages of their careers in clinical and translational science. We hosted 1 session at Rutgers in October. On December 17th, we have our next session at Princeton. And in the next year, we are hoping to extend this to NJIT. At the advanced level, we host a number of individuals as part of our core. First is Dr. Velstak, who is an oncologist working in Botswana with Rick Marlink's Global Health Institute. He is kind of working on developing our global workforce. Obviously, in the past few months, a lot of attention has been in focusing and developing COVID guidelines, PPE, proper donning and doffing of PPE for clinical staff. He's also been working on data entry in the cancer registry and working on additional kind of NIH submissions and grants and initiatives across a number of collaborators in Europe as well as in Botswana. Ms. Megamaster is our Clinical Research Management Fellow. She just recently completed our fellowship where she developed a crisis communication plan and a procedural document training that is tracking a number of projects. And those are 2 initiatives that are being developed for publication right now. She recently transitioned to full-time employment in part because of this fellowship. Going forward, we have recognized that COVID particularly has made the placement of a fellow in the CRUs a little bit difficult. And so we are looking to kind of streamline this fellowship, probably just down to 1 fellow per year. And I'll talk about what we're doing to pivot in one of the next slides. And you've already heard about Shane from what Kathy has told you. Together, Shane is working across our cores to be able to develop training opportunities for clinical and professional students. So as I mentioned, we've had challenges this year in recruiting our next CRM fellow due to COVID and availability of CRUs. And so we very quickly in September decided to refocus our training efforts and develop a virtual internship program that lasts 8 weeks. It's a part-time internship program that can be pursued by students actively in training. Within a week, you guys were wonderful and came up with 8 projects. This includes a number of our cores here that we have online, including special populations, community engagement, team science, as well as other, in community engagement, as well as a number of other clinical research management projects, including one on COVID-19 trial databases. Within the next 2 weeks after that, we were able to collect 90 applications across trainees from RBHS, New Brunswick, Camden, and Newark, focused in this first pilot round just on Rutgers trainees. We selected interns that span pharmacy, medicine, nursing PhD program, biomedical engineering PhD program, 2 master's students, and an undergraduate student out of Camden. And they are working on remote projects independently as well as in collaboration. We are developing them in the aspects of career training. And so we'll be hosting a session in 2 weeks on developing graphical abstracts, your online presence through LinkedIn. And then in December, we'll be hosting our symposium with their final deliverables. And that will also then be disseminated using LinkedIn on their newly developed or improved LinkedIn profiles to help get the word out about NJAX within our broader community. So we really see this internship as a really innovative approach to workforce development, especially while students are largely stuck home. And we see this as an initiative we'd like to go on even after, hopefully, COVID situation changes. So we will be launching fall and spring cohorts. We're currently using an 8-week model. We would like to maybe expand to a 10-week model. We will also like to expand the number of interns, and we ask for cost sharing across your cores to be able to make this possible. In this spring, we would like to expand to NJIT and Princeton trainees and possibly next year to any student at a New Jersey university. We are also looking for projects that cross a number of cores. So if informatics has a project they'd like to work on with community engagement, we'd really like to see those kind of cross collaborative initiatives. And we would also like to be able to further integrate the interns into the core activities and trainings offered throughout NJAX. So please keep your eyes open. We will be calling for projects in late November with the idea of presentation, projects selected and advertised in later December, and applications and submitted in early January, and onboarding in late January and launching for the spring. We have obviously worked with a lot of cores. You'll see that the only one I couldn't find any connections with was biomarkers. So we are coming for you because we want to make sure that the next year that this spreadsheet is entirely filled out. But we've hopefully in the second year really been able to expand the reach of workforce development. Please also let us know if there's initiatives you would like to get off the ground. We are here to support you. Thank you.
And Lauren, that is just extraordinary progress, pivoting in the pandemic. Sorry for the alliteration there, but I think the glue for inter-core relationships are people, and people build the bridges. You can say that you're going to be integrative. You're going to say you're going to collaborate. It ain't going to happen unless there's a person who makes it happen and has the ambition and the energy to do it. So I really applaud that. Our international reach is a unique perspective. So I'm thrilled by all the hard work that's been accomplished by Workforce. You truly are a glue that's bringing a lot of the cores together with a unified purpose. So congratulations. I'd like to move